have you back around again.
Yeah, this is fun. And 4th of July baseball always connected. Special somewhat here tonight for the Diamondbacks because maybe their best pitcher, Patrick Corbin's, making his return after Tommy John surgery.
Well, with the club only a couple of games under 500, it's going to be a huge lift if he has the ability to come back and be what he was before. In 2013, when the injury happened, 9-1, but his overall record 4-8, 341 earned run average, a lot of strikeouts, and he did it with the slider. Very good slider. Now we're going to have to see if he comes back and utilizes the slider as much as he did prior to the injury. A lot of times guys back away from that and try to rely hard on the fastball and the changeup and then utilize the slider. But a very good slider, utilized it against the Rockies. He's dominated this ball club. He's had a complete game against the Rockies at Coors Field, something unheard of.
You're going to have a pitch count for Patrick Corbin tonight. And, George, I would think that at the beginning there's going to be a little bit of the back-of-the-mind thoughts about how it's going to feel.
Well, no question. I think the excitement, Jack, of everything that's going to go on and how amped up you get as a pitcher, that you can control that regardless of how much time you've had in the big leagues.
That will be just one of the stories here on our nation's 239th birthday. You're going to have special uniforms, all kinds of 4th of July activities. What else would you want on the 4th but big league baseball? What it means to live in the USA. Along with fireworks, barbecues, parades, and hot dogs, nothing says America more than baseball. Today, with family and friends, we pause and take time out to celebrate our independence and enjoy America's pastime. Happy 4th of July, America. Rockies, Diamondbacks, next on Root Sports. A beautiful 4th of July in Phoenix, warm temperatures, but that's the desert in July. And special uniforms tonight for all the teams in baseball. You gotta love the stars and stripes as the Rockies and Diamondbacks get set for Game 3 of this 4-game series. And they expect a big house here tonight at Chase Field. Charlie Blackmon, who led off last night's ball game with a home run. Love to see Chuck do that again here this evening. He'll be the first guy to take a look at Patrick Corbin as we take a look at the Rockies starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. No Carlos Gonzalez in the lineup tonight with the left-hander Corbin on the mound. So Willeen Rosario moves up into the 5-hole. Drew Stubbs is going to get a start. Nick Hundley, we'll talk about that a little bit as the game goes on, made his big league debut on the 4th of July. And you see David Hale at the bottom of the order. He'll be the man facing this guy, George, Patrick Corbin.
Making his 50th career start, an overall record of 20-16. 3 complete games over that span. He doesn't walk many. He does strike out 7.5 over that span of his career. Home runs per 9, less than 1 per ball game. That's pretty impressive too. Let's see if this young left-hander can control the emotions. His velocity typically before the injury was in the 89 to 93, touching 94 occasionally, an electric slider and changeup.
We touched on it, George, at the outset. As much as anything, it's going to be emotions for Patrick Corbin tonight.
That's the hardest thing, I would think, coming back from the injury, a almost capacity crowd here at Chase Field, and then you're trying to harness all of that, and you'll be able to tell early in this first inning if the Rockies can take advantage maybe of his wildness at some time.
We had Jose Fernandez and Matt Moore make debuts this week, coming back from Tommy John surgery. Now it's Patrick Corbin, and starts the ball game off just the way he would hope.
92-mile-an-hour fastball inside corner, bottom half of the zone.
And there's the slider.
It's nasty and it's hard. 80 miles an hour on the slider, but a lot of movement on the pitch.
Young man out of central New York, the Syracuse area. One and two, the count on Blackmon. Charlie, as we mentioned, led off last night's game with a home run. 9th time he has had a leadoff homer. That's a Rockies record. And he'll hit it up the middle, and a diving try by Owings is not going to be, and Blackmon starts the night with a base hit. Defensively for the Diamondbacks, they've got the Gold Glover Goldschmidt at first, Owings at second on a long errorless streak. A.J. Pollock very solid in center field. Jared Sotomayor doing the catching tonight for the D-backs. DJ LeMahieu didn't play in game 1, had a walk and a run scored last night. And Corbin will get a first pitch strike in there. Give us a quick scouting report on Corbin handling the running game, George.
Well, he does a pretty good job of it. He's got a good catch and throw guy, Saltamacchia, behind the plate, but he does a nice job with the pickoff. And I think with all the excitement, you know, his main focus, see if I can get through this first inning and not allow any damage. That's kind of the show me move over to first base. Corbin made 4 rehab starts, his first on June 8th, only 2/3 of an inning. It wasn't pretty. He did that in Lancaster, pitching for Visalia. Lancaster, tough place to go pitch anyway. But then 3 AA starts, 4 2/3, 5 2/3. His last start, 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 of those earned.
DJ thought that was a little high, but called a strike by Paul Schreiber, who will be the man behind the plate tonight.
Not a liberal strike zone, but a fair strike zone with Paul Schreiber.
Leadoff single by Blackmon down in the count. DJ 0-2. And Lamb will try and turn 2. Owings throw pulled out of the dirt by Goldschmidt. And indeed, the Diamondbacks go around the horn to get the double play.
Now, the Rockies have hit 2 balls very hard. Charlie Blackmon's base hit up the middle. DJ's shot to third base. Lamb able to handle the hard hit ball off the bat of DJ. 2-hop ground ball. The snap throw on to second. Charlie tried to get into Owings a little bit, and the snap throw over to first completed it.
Would you characterize Corbin as a ground ball pitcher?
Pretty much so. I mean, he's a guy that's going to work the bottom half of the zone, typically. He got after that fastball at 93. The Rockies have struggled this year against left-handers. 3-12 overall as a team against left-handed pitching. 3 of those losses, 2 to Kershaw, 1 to Bumgarner. 2 of the best left-handers in baseball.
1-0 to Tulowitzki, and Troy will watch another one go by. Troy extended his hitting streak last night, 16 straight, best of his excellent pro career, and 31 straight games reaching base.
And a late shift by the Arizona Diamondback infield on a 2-0 count on Tulowitzki. Owings shifted all the way to the left side of shortstop along with everyone else.
Rockies do a lot of shifting, so do the Diamondbacks with Chip Hale. And Troy thought he'd try and influence the umpire, and I don't blame him. Borderline strike.
The fourth strike zone tells you it's out of the zone. It's on the outside corner. Is it a pitch Troy could probably do damage with? Probably not at 93, but I think it appeared to be a ball to me.
.92 on that fastball, full count.
Yeah, a lot of sink and tail. It was a center cut fastball, but it had late life.
Tulo's had a good road trip, 10 for 27. When you said it, George, talking about the previous pitch, not the one foul, but the one before it, I immediately thought of the birthday boy today, Vinny Castilla, the Rockies' special assignment assistant for Jeff Bridich. 48 today. He loves to say late life. And Tulo will send it pretty well down the right field line. Tomas can't make the play. And Tulo will be into second with a double. Right in that corner, Tomas got there, jumped, and the guy still learning how to be an outfielder didn't come up with it.
I was wondering if it was a home run or not. It sounded like it clinked against the fence in the outfield. It'll be interesting to watch him chase this down into the corner. You know, misjudged by Tomas. He went over into the corner thinking it was going to be in foul territory. The ball lands about 2 feet behind him. Yeah, good break for the Rockies. Take advantage. Is just fair by about 6 inches. Great camera work, guys.
And Tulo extends the hitting streak. The noise we heard was actually Tomas hitting the fence and not the ball. See if Nolan Arenado can pick up Troy, and the first pitch misses to Nolan.
2 for 11 in his career versus Corbin. One of those a double.
Of course, all that when Nolan was in his first year in the big leagues. A little more experienced now, to say the least. He hit it firmly, but Ahmed able to make the play, and the Rockies don't score. Diamondbacks coming to bat against David Hale when we return to Phoenix. 4th of July in the Rocky Mountains. It's a great time of year. Rockies down here in the desert trying to beat the Diamondbacks here on the 4th of July. And David Hale, who, if you could wipe out the first inning in Oakland, pitched really well, had a tough first inning, and A.J. Pollock, a tough guy to deal with right out of the chute, as we take a look at the Southwest Airlines starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. That top 5 has been very tough on the Rockies throughout this year, collectively hitting above 370. Tomas off to a great start in his first season as a big leaguer. Pollock will lead it off against the right-hander David Hale. And here are the numbers for David.
8 start is his career with the Colorado Rockies, an overall record of 2-3 and earned run average near 6. You mentioned the start against Oakland, 7 innings in that start. He'd like to rectify things against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Boy, that ball was hit hard. Tulo's got a chance. Wow. Boy, that's some athleticism on the left side of the Rockies infield.
It'll go as an infield hit. And Nolan did all he could, hoping that he could keep that ball in front of him.
I tell you, that's a tough error.
Wow.
That is a really tough error. I mean, this ball smoked. Nolan did everything, going to give up his body, take it off the chest, and then Troy tried to recover. Look at this. That ball was hit hard. Look at Nolan. I'll just take this one and wear it. And just the hop at the very end. Hopefully that replay changes that to a hit, not an error on Nolan.
Yeah, tough call there by the official score. The Diamondbacks put David Hale into the stretch right out of the gate. David Peralta. He's had a good year, a good 2 seasons against the Rockies when Colorado saw him last year, a one-time pitcher. And I think that's been as big a factor in the advantage the Diamondbacks have so far here in 2015. It's not just been Paul Goldschmidt. Pollock gets a big jump and steals second, adding to his already career best total. That's his 17th in 22 tries.
Been caught only 5 times this year. A big jump on David Hill. The pitch is inside. That hurt a little bit as far as Nick Huntley having a clear path. The batter has right in the box, so there's nothing illegal what he did. It's just the pitch was inside.
One ball the count on Peralta. And David Hale, boy, such a tough situation, George, and I know you've gone through that as a pitcher. You come in, you've only thrown a couple of pitches, you get a ball with a tough hop, and all of a sudden you're in the stretch. Now you got a guy in scoring position. You haven't even got a sweat going.
You're in damage control early, and that's not what you wanted. You'd like to have 3 of those ground ball outs and get out of the inning.
And he falls behind 3-0 with Peralta, and all kinds of trouble on deck. Looked like he tried to steer a changeup or a breaking ball there and couldn't finish it.
Peralta with the big triple the other night against Russell. He'll walk here.
And no surprise, Nick Hundley goes to the mound to talk to his pitcher. He was set up away, and that pitch missed all the way on the other side of the plate. Defensively for the Rockies, as we mentioned, Carlos Gonzalez not in the starting lineup tonight. Brandon Barnes moves from left to right with Drew Stubbs in there. William Rosario again gets the call at first base with the lefty on the mound. And Nick Hundley on the anniversary of his big league debut behind the plate for David Hale. D-backs of late have been a very aggressive offense, and especially in the early innings. Well, Goldschmidt didn't waste any time. Usually a guy who might measure a pitch or two, and rare to see him chase one that much out of the zone.
Yeah, and a big sinker too. That great run to the baseball that ran in underneath the hands of Paul Goldschmidt. He's 2 for 4 in his career. Those 2 hits, we won't talk about it. They didn't stay inside the park. If you look back at what the Diamondbacks have done, it's pretty amazing. On first pitch, Pollock swung at the first pitch. Goldschmidt swung at the first pitch. Turner Ward, their hitting coach, along with Mark Grace.
Good speed on the bases as well for the D-backs, and gets a change of pace by him. But the thing that has been so impressive about Paul Goldschmidt is you look at that very solid number in the clutch is his ability to adjust to, I think, adjusts to counts as well as any hitter in the game right now.
Well, there is. They shorten that stride up, shorten the swing up. It's all about timing and making adjustments. And I think from the pitcher's perspective, David Hale got the sign. Goldschmidt was locked in, had to bat where he wanted it, stepped off the back of the rubber, and he kind of saw Goldschmidt kind of shrug the shoulders a little bit, disrupt his time.
Nick Conley able to smother that one to keep the runners where they were, 1-2. As I mentioned, the Diamondbacks have won 7 of the first 10 against the Rockies. They are 4-1 here in this ballpark, and they've won 15 of the last 21 games played here in Phoenix. This has been a tough yard for the Rockies. 2-2.
Swung at it on the first pitch, took it on the fourth pitch.
You look at that league-leading batting average for Goldschmidt at .354, and then you look at the fact that he's also leading the National League in walks with 64.
It's amazing. Great eye, great control of the bat, rocking to go to that outside corner.
Ball 3. And we have seen not only this year, but in matchups since Goldschmidt came to the big leagues, not unusual for him to take an 0-2 and make it a 3-2.
Yeah, here you are back into the pitcher's count, or excuse me, hitter's count in a hurry. This is where if you're a pitcher, you have the ability to throw the slider or changeup for a strike in this situation. You really can change the timing of the hitter.
Well, the runners go. They are not, and that's a foul ball.
80-mile-an-hour changeup.
I agree. Well, you know, maybe since it's almost 8:30 in the Mountain Time zone, people they need to recover from the barbecue.
Put your feet up, watch a little Rockies baseball, and enjoy your night.
Exactly. David Hale facing the top hitter in the National League. Mentioned the 64 walks. 65 strikeouts, but look at the marks there and all the categories you're looking for out of a top hitter. Very, very impressive. There go the runners, and it's ball 4. An 8-pitch at bat from 0-2 to a walk to load the bases.
Nobody out. 14 pitches into the first. 9 balls and 5 strikes. Typically a strike thrower, David Hale. I mentioned that start against Oakland. last week, and when he went 7 innings in that game, no walks.
George, let me ask you this then, that question. Would you be as confident as you want to be and looking forward to getting that next start after the previous one? Do you think as a young pitcher, maybe in the back of his mind, he's thinking about that first inning from his last start?
It could be, but I mean, what is he, 28 years old, 29 years old? He's been here a couple of times. He's been through this, particularly in Atlanta. But you do start to feel that. You start to think that. You know, you start to think every ball that's hit's going to get through the infield. Did I make the right pitch? And you start second-guessing yourself. And I said this last night a couple of times when Anderson was pitching. It appeared in the first inning he was trying to work away from contact. He didn't want to attack the zone with his stuff. Well, we all know from that point on he attacked very well.
No place to put Yasmani Tomas, who will be swinging, you know that, and then he surprises me and takes the pitch for a strike. He had a stretch over 2 games in Denver when the Diamondbacks were there at the end of June, where he swung at the first pitch in 6 straight at bats. 1 ball, 1 strike. Impressive young hitter. Not a lot of power yet. The Diamondbacks think it's going to come, but maybe a little bit more hitter savvy in how he has approached in certain situations already.
13 doubles out of his 70 hits, 1 triple, 4 home runs. So I think you will see it eventually, Jack. I think you will see 15 to 20, maybe more. He's sure big enough. He's sure strong enough to do it. But it's an adjustment. Think about leaving Cuba and then coming here. He's very high average among number 4 hitters at the major league level right now. Harper a little bit off the charts right now.
2-1 to count on him. Bases full, and time was called at the plate. Talking with Jenny Kapner on the radio the other night, I think the only thing with Tomas, you just want to make sure he's not Pablo Sandoval in terms of the weight.
Right, exactly. Your concern would be that to me. You're going to lose range, speed in the outfield.
He'll hit it towards third. They'll get the runner at second, and that's it. As Goldschmidt takes out DJ, a run scores. It was a hard slide, but certainly looked like a clean slide. Unfortunately for David Hale, he made almost too good of a pitch, and it wasn't hit hard enough to turn 2.
Exactly. When this ball gets to Nolan Arenado, Goldschmidt's almost on the bag. And he slides very wide. It was a clean slide. He just took the legs out from underneath DJ to keep the double play from happening. DJ tried to clear himself, but Goldschmidt 6'5". The rule, if you're wondering, you have to be able to reach back to the bag. If you get beyond the bag and you can't touch it as a base runner, they can automatically call the runner at first out.
Tomas gets credit for his 32nd RBI. Now the left-handed hitting third baseman Jake Lamb. We have seen Aaron Hill, and now 2 starts for Lamb, and his emergence part of the reason why Tomas was shifted to the outfield, why Mark Trumbo was traded to Seattle. And he'll fist a ball into center field that will make it 2-0.
Now, unfortunately, the walks and flares have hurt David Hale and the Rockies early in this game. 15 RBIs now for Jake Lamb.
Last night, the Diamondbacks' RBI hits were not hit very hard at all. And
yeah, that's not hit hard at all. He got right in on the hands of Jake Lamb, and he tried to hopefully bust the bat. Instead, he fights it off and puts the ball into center field.
Tomas went to second, and now Salamakia, the switch hitting catcher. Diamondbacks today activated a young catcher. Rule 5 pickup for them, and getting another bat and a young man who they think has a lot of potential, swinging a foul apparently, but it's 0-2. And so Corbin comes up as well. Matt Stites and Danny Dorn head back to AAA.
Yeah, the Dorn story pretty nice. There's many games, over 900 games at the minor league level. Was hitting over 400 when he got his chance here with the Diamondbacks.
But the D-backs wanting to see Oscar Hernandez, who they think can be their everyday catcher in the future, and maybe as soon as next year. We'll see how that plays. 2-2 now with Saltalamacchia, and George, maybe a little bit of just what you were talking about from last night's game with Chase Anderson for the Diamondbacks. David Hale got ahead there, and perhaps it's just too much movement, but it looks like he's trying to avoid some contact.
Yeah, trying to avoid. He knows Saltalamacchia. Anytime a veteran guy struggles, they're trying to dead pull the ball on the inside half, cheat on your fastball. You try to counter that by throwing the ball way out of the zone.
But the fastball command is not there for David Hale. An error, 2 walks. The Diamondbacks have scored 2 runs on 1 hit. The little flare. And got him. Well, at some point, Hernandez is going to take even more at bats away, you would think, from Saltalamacchia, whose bat has been absent for much of the year.
Very few teams can carry 3 catchers. They need the extra utility guys, an extra outfielder or infielder. Saltalamacchia, who's guaranteed money for the rest of this year, may be the odd guy out. Wellington Castillo has done a great job here.
Chris Owings, the second baseman. An article on Owings in today's paper as they talked about the power, the driving of the baseball down a little bit. He had shoulder surgery last year.
Well, the one thing that has not suffered has been his defense. He's played very good defense at second base, has played a little bit of short. I think they're giving him a little leeway from the conversation of Chip Hale and general manager Dave Stewart, that giving him some leeway here to get things going.
This should be playable, and it'll be Charlie Blackmon who will grab it to end the inning. The Diamondbacks take advantage of some wildness from David Hale. They grab the early advantage. Town Toyota stores. Let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. An error, 2 walks, and the Diamondbacks cash those in to take a 2-0 advantage. Give Patrick Corbin a little bit of a comfort zone. Willeen Rosario leads it off against him here in the second. Everybody in baseball wearing the Stars and Stripes uniforms here on the 4th of July. I really like the hats.
Yeah, the hats look very nice. Quite different from what they have been in the past. I like the batting gloves, Willeen.
Why not add a little red, white, and blue to the grips?
Boy, that was delayed. That was really late. Thought it was down, thought it was in. Rosario with more at-bats against Corbin than anybody in the Rockies lineup. 16. And the ball's caught. Starting to pull it out, and then he gets a strike. They're going, they didn't even check it.
We've seen Corbin get a 93 a couple of times here. He'll be on a pitch count.
Yeah, I thought he'd go to the slider here against Willeen. They call fastball away. He threw 15 pitches in the first inning. He's at 21 right now.
Chip Hale, the D-backs manager, said a max of 90 pitches, and it might end up being a few less than that depending on the circumstances of the game.
The most he threw at the AA level was 79. That ball's high. Willeen dropped the bat, but he'll pick it up and head to the dugout.
Who wants tacos? If the Rockies score 7 or more runs, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 p.m. Get your Rockies taco special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. First strikeout for Patrick Corbin on his return. And now Drew Stubbs getting his first start since his recall. Has batted a couple of times as a pinch hitter and then in a double switch in last night's game.
First night back, I thought he got him a home run to right field. Tomas caught it up on the wall.
Hello. Well,
yeah, that's where you get up. Even though you're a lifetime 260 hitter, whatever Stubbs is, you get up and you tell him, you look back at the catcher, it's Saltalamaki, goes, if you looked at the board, I'm hitting 160, okay? You don't need to knock me down. I'm not hitting fourth. I'm not crushing the ball. I mean, 244 career average. He had one of his biggest days in his career at Wrigley Field in a Cincinnati uniform on this date. 3 home runs, 5 RBIs in a Cincinnati uniform.
3-1 to count on him here now. Saltalamaki might have a play on this. Goldschmidt coming over and takes control.
It's always easier, particularly when it gets over by the dugout, for a first baseman to call off if he can get there. Goldschmidt gets there. You see Saltalamaki come running hard, but Paul calls him over, and he almost overran the ball.
Even in the ballparks that have the rooftops, you still get those real high fouls at times that tend to work back towards the field as they descend. I know there is some law of physics why that happens, or perhaps the physicists are going to tell us no, it's not real.
Maybe once watching the game they could tweet it back to us, right? Ahead here very quickly on 2 fastballs, 92 and then 93 to Nick Hunter.
And if he locates and gets those high fastball calls like he did against Rosario, you know, George, that just makes the slider that much tougher.
Oh, it really does. Let's see if he goes back. He wants the fastball. They want it in. They want it up.
Right at Tomas. Patrick Corbin gets a 1-2-3 second. Gotta love a little touch 'em all time in the backyard on the 4th of July. God, I loved playing wiffle ball as a kid.
Wasn't that fun?
And they have those new ones now, the blaze ball or whatever it is. You can have like a 6-foot break on a curveball. Yeah. Nick Ahmed will lead off the second inning against David Hale, who had a tough beginning with a hot shot that was called an error against Nolan Arenado on 2 walks, and 2 of those 3 base runners scored in the Arizona first. Well, this guy Nick Ahmed has really helped their offense with what he has done over the last 5 weeks. The number, the 237, doesn't look like much, but when the Rockies saw him earlier in the year, he wasn't hitting 150. He's a very solid defender. That was his reputation when he was in the Braves organization. It enabled them to move Owings to second base and keep him there. 2-1 now, the count on Ahmed. Diamondbacks again flirting with 500 at 39-41. Tulo, good play on the short hop.
Yeah, one of the hardest plays in baseball is to come in, trust the hands, and that's why he's got a gold glove. He and Nolan Arenado on the left side of that infield, DJ on the right side of the infield. But to be able to come in on this baseball, trust that you're going to get a true hop on this second one. If he stays back with Ahmed's speed, I'm not sure you get him. Plus, that second hop's going to have a lot of backspin on it. Nice play by Troy.
Patrick Corbin bats from the same side as how he throws. David Hale love a quick bounce back inning if he could get one here and find his tempo after that tough first frame. He's going to have 2 quick outs. David let Nolan grab it. There we go. 2 outs.
Well, we'll go back and look at the last start for David Hale. He won 100 pitches in 7 innings, but it was 5 runs. Billy Butler got a home run. They hit another one to right field. And then another home run. Ike Davis with the home run. 7 innings, 9 hits, 5 runs. Then he calmed down. Gave the Rockies a chance to try to get back into this baseball game to go with 2 strikeouts.
A.J. Pollock smashed a ball to third. Nolan Arenado, acting like a hockey or soccer goalie, tried to block it, and it went off of him. And Pollock reached and eventually scored. Walt Weiss talking about A.J. Pollock. The Diamondbacks trying to push to get Pollock into the All-Star game. I don't know if the Notre Dame star will achieve that this year, but this is a fine young player.
Very good young player. Nolan this time is going to be the vacuum at third.
David Hale got just what he wanted. A quick 1, 2, 3, and happy 4th of July, Rockies fans. The advantage here on the 4th of July. It's time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag RMDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Warm night outside, very pleasant in the ballpark tonight. And Brandon Barnes will look at a first pitch strike from Patrick Corbin. He's using the whole assortment here early on, so that tells you he's confident in how he feels.
Well, even to cap it all off, if he happened to have enough, Spilly, happy Independence Day to you too. You bet, buddy.
This will be the Rockies' second hit. Make it their third hit now as Brandon Barnes goes the opposite way. Rockies get a leadoff man on for the second time in 3 innings. Corbin had a double play in the midst of a single and a double in the first. Rockies fans, you can join the conversation. Send us your thoughts, photos via Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook using the hashtag Toyota Talk. And we'll show some of your Toyota Talk comments throughout the game tonight. David Hale bunt goes foul. Rockies pitcher is 0 for 13 this season and 1 for 34 in his career, but he does have a couple of sacrifice bunts. Short lead for Barnes. Lamb really creeping in, and Hale misses on the bunt again. 0-2.
It's very difficult. You say, well, get the ball down. When a guy's throwing 90 to 94 miles an hour and it sinks and it cuts, as a pitcher, I think the best way to handle it is get to as in front of the box as you can get, meaning closest to the pitcher you can get. And this whole spin around on the right foot and all that, I like them when they square themselves around and just give yourself up. Get the ball on the ground. You know, to make his third attempt. No, how about that? Oh.
Fielding Culper is saying just outside the line. Goldschmidt felt that. He hit heavily on the ground.
I'm not self-fielding. Culberth actually saw the ball. He was close to getting hit himself. Look at Ewing. Yeah, you can really see that ball does go foul. Ewing trying to say it went over the top of the bag.
Almost caught the edge of Goldschmidt's glove. At least from that camera angle, it looked that way.
Boy, would that have been sweet. Second, third, nobody out.
Rockies and Diamondbacks playing against each other on the 4th of July for the first time in 6 seasons. Hale gets the bunt down. Good job, David. On to second goes Brandon Barnes. 2-4 on the sacrifice.
Center fielder Charlie Blackmon.
Charlie Blackmon got number 9 last night, passing Eric Young Sr.
Boy, turned on that good fastball in early part of the ball game. Very first at bat. See you later. Man, how nice was that? Charlie got fought off a number of fastballs on the inner half. They revisited again, and he made a peg.
Trying to see if he can get the Rockies on the board here. He singled his first time up. Was erased in a double play. Hit a ball by a diving Owings, the second baseman, up the middle. Charlie Blackmon, of course, had that great burst last year at the start of the season, parlayed it into a spot on the 2014 National League All-Star team. But in a lot of ways, George, I think he's better this year.
I would agree with you, Jack, only because, and the reason I say that, his average is down. I mean, it's 270, 271 right now for Charlie. But he's got 11 home runs, 35 RBIs right now, 21 stolen bases. He's been caught 7 times. Seeing more pitches than he's ever seen as a leadoff man. And the most important thing for me is he's gained the trust of Walt Weiss, left or right-hander on the mound.
This one is fair, and this one's going to produce a run. Charlie thought about third as Peralta had trouble in the corner. He'll settle for the RBI double, and the Rockies are on the board. Well, the Diamondbacks have had all kinds of those just inside the line hits in this series, and the Rockies get one.
Yeah, finally has something go their way, and Charlie able to fight off this pitch right on the outside corner, slashes it beyond Lamb down into the corner hard, and as from the left-handed bat, it's going to run away from the left fielder, and they got to play it off the wall and wait for the ball to come to them. Charlie in scoring position, top of the lineup, a chance to tie this ball game.
So the sacrifice set up Brandon Barnes into scoring position, and Blackmon delivers his 36th run batted in.
Saturday, July 25th, University of Colorado night. The Colorado Buffalo fans could purchase a special ticket package to receive a limited edition Buffs-themed Rockies hat. So make sure you're there at the ball game. You can get a good look at it there on TV. A nice looking hat. 303 Rockies, rockies.com/CU.
DJ grounded sharply into a double play his first time up. Look out. Looks like everybody's okay. 2 strikes on LeMahieu. Isn't it interesting, George? DJ has been so good for virtually the whole season that this slide he's had over the last couple of weeks, everybody's wringing their hands over it. I mean, it's
part of the game.
Yes.
How many hard outs has he had? That's the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. And I also think last year, certainly 2 years ago, as you look at the breakdown in the numbers, and some of that in June too, is guys respecting who he is now as a hitter.
Well, different hitting 8th than it is 9th, hitting second in the lineup. You're seeing different pitches than you normally would see.
And this is going to be a base hit to right field. They're going to challenge the arm of Tomas. The throw is not in time. DJ LeMahieu comes through in the clutch, and the game is knotted at 2.
34th RBI for DJ LeMahieu. It all got started this inning with Brandon Barnes. Opposite field single, sacrifice, Charlie's double, and now the single on a fastball away. DJ was late on 3 or 4 fastballs. This 91-mile-an-hour fastball, he was not late. He pegged it to right, Tomas's arm. The ball comes in, and not in time to get Charlie Blackmon. Mike Harkey out to visit with Corbin. And probably more than anything, look, in your rehab starts, you got a mentality of fastball, fastball, fastball. This isn't a rehab start. This is the big leagues, and this is a very good hitting team. 266 average overall, which is second in the National League.
And I would also think, too, George, doesn't there have to be a little bit of an adrenaline letdown after that first 2 innings?
Kind of like when you get a flat tire in the car. You just kind of let the air out of it. You got to get yourself back up again and get going.
Tulo doubled into the right field corner as Tomas tried to make a leaping catch. It extended his hitting streak and on base streak. Now he's looking to drive a ball to get DJ home. I think we have seen with Troy, and you described how well he made that short hop play last inning, George, that the legs are good again, and it's being shown on the defensive side. He's getting to more balls. He's doing all the things again, playing with the abandon that has made him a Gold Glover at short. I think the lower half, the lower body power is perhaps going to take a little longer.
Probably. But I think you're starting to see it, too. The opposite field double down in the corner, some 330 feet from home plate in his last at bat. So you're starting to see it. He drove a ball to dead center, 407, the first night in here. And it's getting very close. And I think it's the mind that makes you trust that it's getting close. You know, because there's been so many times he's felt so good that he made a move and all of a sudden it tweaked again. And I think now that he's making those moves, it's not tweaking, it's not hurting. And you're seeing the Troy Tulowitzki, his average has jumped to 320 before the double tonight. 322 after that base hit. Make a play, Doris. Come on, dive for it. Doris works on as our stage director.
Well, here's another thing, too, George, not to take away from Doris's defensive efforts over there. People talk about that hip surgery and say, well, then the guy's not the same again. And they were talking about that with Alex Rodriguez. And I think he has shown this year it may be like Tommy John or some other things, just takes a little longer.
16 to 18 months, I think, for it to be 100%, in my opinion. I just think it's that long that before you feel 100%. Corbin's a while out of his Tommy John, but it takes time before the shoulder, the elbow, all feels. I think it's the same with both hips working together.
Yeah, Tulo moving towards the 1-year anniversary of that surgery. Two and two now as he battles Corbin. And if nothing else, already the pitch count growing up to 49 now. And as we said, they were looking at a max of 90 and maybe a little less depending on how it plays out. And one less guy in the bullpen now with his activation.
Stites was the guy, Jack, if you're just joining the ball game, they sent Stites back to AAA along with Dorn when they activated Hernandez and Corbin.
Here's Dave McKay, veteran coach, setting the infield defense. Where Tony La Russa goes, Dave McKay follows.
And Dave Duncan.
And Dave Duncan. Yeah, those guys have been together for a long time. There's Tony. Dave Stewart on the right. DeJohn Jordan, isn't
Watson.
it? Watson, excuse me, you're right.
In the middle. Yeah, they put a group together as they watch the ball games.
Does this have enough? Not quite. DJ had to retouch second base, but he had the good fortune of that ball being so high that it wasn't a problem for him. Troy going back knowing he just missed that. Nolan's ground out was to short his first time up. Trying to keep the rally going. Rockies have tied it here in the third, excuse me. And that won't do it. Corbin will get it. But the Rockies have gotten even. We are celebrating the 4th of July here in Phoenix. The holiday greeting on one of the bases. We hope you're having a sparkling 4th of July. Good baseball game here in the desert. 2-2 in the bottom of the 3rd.
David Peralta with the Rockies shift had shown a bunt. Nolan just kind of laughed. You want to bunt it? Go ahead.
Yeah. And it just went foul. As we watch Wallin work at first base, Georgia, I think the Bull has made a lot of progress defensively to his glove side. I think obviously for a catcher, the move to cover more ground to his right and some of the nuances of the position are going to take more time.
I would agree, and I think knowing how much range DJ can cover behind him and not get caught off of chasing the ball, knowing you can't get it, but now you're too far to get back and hope your pitcher's there to cover. It's all about communication on a lot of these guys.
Peralta walked and scored the 2nd run of the 1st inning and trying to beat the shift. The count remains at 1-2 strikes. Diamondbacks sent 7 men to the plate in the 1st inning. And then David Hale with a pretty quick routine 2nd.
Come on. He called a couple of those high fastballs tonight early in this ball game, not this time.
According to the strike zone box, sure looked like it was in there. Well, Tulo and DJ have enough communication for Troy to make the play. And the smarter call because it's to the glove side of Tulo in that shift. Here's tonight's Coors Light Cold Hard Fact, brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light, the game's most refreshing beer. And as Paul Goldschmidt comes to the plate, you see his numbers against the Rockies here at Chase Field. He extended an on-base streak with a walk his first time up. 28 straight games against the Rockies he has reached base. And working on a 16-game hitting streak here at Chase Field against the Rockies. 2-0. That's a good pitch there, an off-speed delivery. If you're going to go soft, go down. Three and one. Goldschmidt, not that he was an unknown, but he was an 8th round pick. Coming out of Texas State.
Did not get recruited by Texas, Texas A&M, any of the big schools. Ended up at Texas State, and former Rocky farmhand Tommy Field, who got to the big leagues with the Angels of Minnesota, was at that same school.
He turned 28 in early September. Quite a hitter. Nick Hundley's going to have to hurry, and a good stretch by the Bull. Boy, very fine at both ends there.
You know what is interesting about Goldschmidt's path to the plate? When he took off, he was out on the grass. And I think this adjustment here, see how far he is on the grass? Then he moves over into the runner's lane. And I think that's what cost him a few steps. I'm glad it did, because I'm not sure Nick would have got him. A great play by Nick. But we've seen 2 or 3 runners this year get hit with a ball and get called safe or out, whichever one you want to do. He tried to get over into the runner's lane and handled it pretty good. Go foul.
It will one-hop the wall. Brandon Barnes got it back in quickly, but there's Tomas, first pitch attacking and going the opposite way. This season for Tomas, 13 hits against the Rockies, and just off the top of my head, George, I want to say 10 of them have gone to right field.
It's unbelievable how many have done this. He just kind of inside out swing. Watch the foot, back foot and front foot both shift to almost a hit and run stance. But his strength lets him drive the ball even that much farther.
Second hit for the Diamondbacks, their first extra base hit. Jake Lamb had a little flare into center field to knock in the second Arizona run in the first inning. Good pitch there from David Hale as he goes soft again and makes Lamb chase.
Yes, he did. He took it all the way to that outside part of the plate. Really got inside of that slider and let it stay there on a backdoor slider.
In categorizing David Hale in terms of other Rockies pitchers through their history, not the ultimate sinker guy like an Aaron Cook, is he like a Josh Fogg perhaps?
That's a pretty good comparison. Fogg had a better, I think, a little better command of the slider away, but I think that's a pretty good comparison. That slider almost caught Lamb in the thigh. David may have a little more velocity as Josh got in the back end of his career. His velocity was more in the 87 to 90 range. Hale can go get 90, 91 at times. Pitches at 89.
Trying to freeze that runner at second with 2 outs. And got him. Went back to that off-speed pitch. And David Hale keeps this a 2-2 game on the 4th of July in the desert. seen more than they need of that guy.
Well, I think the earned run average is so low, very low right now for Zach Greinke, leading the National League. It's a fly ball into foul territory, back to fair territory. As I follow Tomas through this, Rosario will fly out to right field. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you look back at every team has those top two guys, and obviously they've got Kershaw and Greinke, and now all of a sudden Brett Anderson, the former Rockies, throwing the ball very well.
With that win, and the Giants lost again today, the Dodgers' lead has grown to 4 games. The Giants losing at Washington. Madison Bumgarner got knocked around a little bit. 9-3, the Nats won that one. Bryce Harper hit a home run with a Stars and Stripes bat. Brandon Barnes in the on-deck circle as Drew Stubbs tries to get things going. I actually said Brandon Barnes. That's Nick Hundley. I got ahead of myself. Drew Stubbs in the time with the Isotopes had 9 extra base hits, checks his swing, and no, says Field and Culbreth, and that is strike 3.
It appeared to me probably he tried to hold up. It was that last flip of the wrist for a hitter with his strength is difficult to do.
For Corbin, it's his 2nd strikeout. He now gets Nick Hundley. D-backs had 2 in the first, Rockies with 2 in the third. We play here in the 4th. This hit pretty well to right field. Tomas is not going to have this one. It stays in the yard. Hundley thinking 3, and he's in there.
Not many catchers in this game today run as well as Nick Hundley, and it's the form of running that he uses, at those elbows pumping straight up and down. I think that goes back to the football days and the coaching of his father, but the running form allows him to be a better runner than what you anticipate. Tomas goes up. I think he thought the ball was out of the ballpark as he kicked things around, and then Nick Hundley saw the ball get away, makes the spin, picks up Stu Cole, makes that decision, and gets there safely at third base.
We have seen in this series Yasmani Tomas, inexperienced in right field. He loves to jump.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? He likes to run into the fence. Well, it's a chain link fence, so it's easy landing out there, right? If that was a wall that had some padding, he'd probably jump once and go, all right, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I'll play it off the wall.
Brandon Barnes started the rally with a base hit last inning, trying to come up with a 2-out RBI hit, give the Rockies the lead.
But it looks good on the replay.
With every challenged call, the Subaru Eyesight Review will determine the outcome. Love, it's what makes a Subaru a Subaru. Nick Hundley's 2nd triple, and the Rockies' 19th, and Barnes fouled it. Nick Hundley was 3/4 of the way down the line, just in case there was a swing and a miss and the ball was loose.
As a base runner at third base, you're not only watching the pitcher, you're watching the catcher. Prior to this pitch being called, Saltalamacchia pounded the dirt with his catcher's mitt. So I want this ball in the dirt. Well, if that happens to squirt away, you've got to run. You steal a run. Just paying attention to a catcher. Ask for it down there again. This time there's not contact made. They'll be able to get Brandon at first.
Rockies get a triple from Nick Hundley but can't score. It remains a 2-2 game. Recap: the Rockies and D-backs tied at 2. Tulo extending his hitting streak in the first inning. Charlie Blackmon knocked in a run, and DJ LeMahieu going through a tough stretch, even though he's been hitting the ball well, just not getting hits out of it. Got the big RBI single to tie the game, and David Hale, after 2 walks and an error, contributed to a 2-run first inning, has settled in. He gave up a 2-out double to Tomas last inning, but came back to strike out Jake Lamb. Saltalamacchia is the other strikeout victim for David Hale, and he gets ahead of the veteran catcher here in the 4th. Rockies shift again on the infield. David Hale, a Princeton Tiger, although he grew up in the Atlanta area. He told me his first winter in New Jersey at Princeton for a Georgia boy was a rude awakening.
Boy, I'm sure it was. Who's the head coach at Princeton? He played in the big leagues. I'll think of it here in a minute.
2-2 now on Saltalamacchia. Owings and Ahmed will follow. He nudged and no, down at third. Manny Gonzalez said he held up. Full count. This hit pretty well to right. It's gonna one-hop the wall. A leadoff double for Saltalamacchia here in the 4th. George, you talked earlier about him cheating a little bit, and he took advantage there.
Yes, he did, on a ball down low. Most guys very good low ball hitters. He starts with his open stance. You can see the natural swing to drop the back shoulder, so that creates a lot of leverage and bat speed. And he just drove this ball into the corner as he golfed the low pitch out. Brandon gets the ball back in. By the way, the head coach, Scott Bradley.
Oh, that's right. There you go.
Big leaguer.
Yep. Chris Owings flied out to Charlie Blackmon his first time up. And Charlie will field the base hit. They'll hold Saltalamacchia.
Yeah, nobody out. A hard line drive that leaves the infield. Everybody's going to slow down and hold up. That's exactly what happened to Saltalamacchia, but Owings hit the ball hard. And it looked like appeared to be a slider that stayed up. Saltalamacchia out at second base. Ball's hit. He should be able to tell, but DJ at 6'4", and that soft liner starting to come down. And made sure that that ball ended up getting into the outfield.
Boy, another example, George. You've talked a lot, whether it's David Hale or Kyle Kendrick, even Chad Bettis at times. You can have the pitches, but it's the command of it to get the locations that.
No question. No question, Jay. You can throw 100 miles an hour, but if it's in the middle of the plate, it's going to get hit hard. Who was the reliever for the Detroit Tigers? Brian Anderson. Isn't that his name? Anderson, the right-hander that threw so hard. Out of TCU up to 101. Made it to the big leagues for the Rockies for a while. Yeah, but he was a guy that didn't last very long.
Well, he probably could have been a surveyor because that fastball was a plumb bob. You're right. I mean, It was 100 miles an hour, but straight as a string. Ahmed grounded to short. Tulo made a nice play on a short hop his first time up. They've got the squeeze on, and they've got Saltalamacchia. Nick Hundley will chase him back and tag him. I gotta believe Ahmed did that on his own. And it doesn't work for the Diamondbacks.
Doesn't work at all. And surprising that he would do that with nobody out, Jet. Nobody out, first and third. And he lays the bunt down. And it's directly back because Saltalamacchia was not going. And so it may be a safety squeeze, but why would you even be sacrificing with a pitcher up next? I'm glad he did it. The Rockies get one out and the pitcher's up. But you end up, Chip Hale's kind of raising the eyebrows in the dugout along with Glenn Sherlock.
Owings goes to second, but now you have an out. And Corbin, who popped up his first time up. Double plays back in order and a chance for David Hale to work out of it if he can do something with Corbin.
Defensively, what you're looking at now, you're seeing Moline come hard from the first base area. David Hale's responsibility, the dirt line to the mound, to angle to third base.
With a couple of sinkers run off the plate, and he's down in the count. Ball three. Nothing quite gets under the saddle of a manager than not throwing strikes when a guy's trying to sacrifice, and just got that one to stay in the zone. Just too much movement or not the right kind of finish for David on these two seamers. Here's the bunt. Hale will go to first, and the runners move up. But he gets that second out. 1-4 if you like to keep score on the sacrifice by Patrick Corbin.
First 10,000 to the gates on Saturday, July 11th. You're going to receive a camping blanket. Oh, beautiful, beautiful camping blanket that is. A courtesy of Jeep. So make sure you get out to the ballgame against the Atlanta Braves. 303 Rockies, Rockies.com/promotions if you're on the computer.
A.J. Pollock been very good in the clutch for the Diamondbacks this year, especially of late in these RBI opportunities. Reached on an error on a hard shot that glanced off of Nolan Arenado. Last time up, he lined out to Nolan. Good breaking ball there, evens the count. Pollock wrote to the coach at Notre Dame when he was 6 years old and said, "I'm going to play baseball for you." And he ended up playing for the Irish.
Didn't lie, did he?
I don't know if the coach was still there.
I doubt that he was.
2-1.
That would have been Pat Murphy probably, huh? Pat started his career there.
Yeah, it could have been.
Pat Murphy, now the manager of the San Diego Padres.
A couple of young men that I coached in football back in Cleveland who played baseball for Pat Murphy at Notre Dame. Now that was a sinker.
Heavy bowling ball.
2-2 the count.
An anchor weight.
DJ LeMahieu not only up the middle as you see in that alignment, but right at the back end of the dirt.
You got a 2-2 count here. Remember when he had the very quick 1-2-3 inning, he utilized the slider and the changeup, but he backed velocity off and got the hitters wail out on their front foot. When you get second and third as a pitcher at times, you get a little more intensity going and trying to throw the pitch, the perfect pitch, and end up maybe throwing it too hard or trying to spin the slider too hard, and it gets out of the hand early and you hang it. It's very important that you stay with that same heartbeat, get your hand on top of the ball and make the pitch you want to make.
He did that on the hit by Ahmed.
Absolutely he did.
Trying to get A.J. Pollock. And he won't. Nolan can't come up with it, and 2 runs are going to score. And the Diamondbacks regain the lead. One of the issues to plague the Rockies all year.
One thing about a sinker ball pitcher, and you're not going to protect the line in the 4th inning. But as you see this pitch come in, it's a very good pitch. Watch this ball sink. Stop it. Right there, now you see the sink. Look how he's opened his front side. So when he hits this ball, if it stays fair, it's going to be right down the line. It's very difficult to play a defense against this. There's a lot of guys that are sinker ball pitchers that will give up those runs as Pollock steals his 22nd base without a look or a throw and a left-handed hitter up. But that's one of the difficult things about a sinker baller. You get a guy that just pulls it. I mean, that's just a huge run and jump there. I mean, no attention being paid to whatsoever.
Hale slapped his leg with his glove in disgust, knowing that he didn't pay attention to Pollock. 1-1.
Well, you have a catcher in Nick Connolly, a left-handed batter. Nick has thrown out 13 of 28 would-be base stealers. He's been very successful this year. But if you don't give him a chance, that success means nothing.
Two and one now on Peralta. And as we dissected the Pollock 2-run double, it just added to that total. The Rockies have allowed more 2-out RBIs than any other pitching staff in the National League, and Peralta went too far, 2-2.
What's making the pitch, and we just talked about it. You try to over-amp that pitch. I've been there and I know that. I've done that. You try to make the perfect slider and you try to really overspin it to get it into that perfect zone instead of staying real fundamentally sound and just make the pitch. Now, David made a good pitch. Hale did. It was down and in. But unfortunately, got the quick head of the bat out. That ball caught the strike zone. And that's been called a strike today, too. That's the puzzling thing.
Yeah, the inconsistency is what will vex a pitcher. And
well, the other side of it, the body movement of a hitter, too. You know, when a hitter jerks back or a lot of upper body movement, you have a tendency as an umpire, man, he moved a bunch. He thought that ball was going to get him.
The day after every Rockies win, get 50% off your online order at Papa John's. Promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com.
Yeah, been a little bit of a long inning for David Hale. 26 innings pitched, and that's why Steve Foster out to the mound to give him a little breather here. As far as pitching to Goldschmidt, how do you want to pitch to him? Goldschmidt walked in the first and then tapped one out in front of home plate in his last at bat.
Diamondbacks with 5 hits, and the last 3 of the last 4 have been doubles. He worked around the double last inning against Tomas, but the leadoff double in this inning from Saltalamacchia, and then the 2-run double by Pollock, who's at third now, making the difference. And speaking of 2-out guys who are productive, look at that number.
Big time. And when you get a big hitter up like this at times, you try to overthink it. And you try to make that perfect pitch, and then you do make the mistake, and they make you pay for it.
Gets ahead, but as we have seen with Goldschmidt,
that doesn't matter.
Nope.
What was it last time when he walked in the first inning? He had an 0-2 count, worked it, had an 8-pitch at bat, and ended up walking.
One of the things I always admired about Todd Helton was like, get to 2 strikes and now go to work.
Yeah, that's the thing I always feared, facing the George Bretts of the world. It drove me crazy. You get to 0-2, 1-2, and then it's a 15-pitch at bat, and a double off the wall.
Brett, Wade Boggs, another guy.
Boggs loved 0-2.
Yeah, pace of play. He could have just walked up and said, just put 0-2 on the scoreboard. Let's go.
0-2, and I'll work my way to my 3,000 hits.
The 1-1. Now for David Hale, it has been a lot of time in the stretch tonight.
Yeah, and 84 pitches too, and you're sitting there in the bottom of the 4th. Prior to Goldschmidt, 26 pitches in the inning.
Now the umpires in the stands might have disagreed.
I gotta see this one. Let's look at the strike zone.
Oh, man.
Yeah, now you're going to give that one, but you wouldn't on Peralta. I don't know. I don't get it. It's all right. Call the next one out there too, Paul.
What do you throw to the hitter that this guy is? Full count.
I like the way Nick Hundley does such a good job. Just drop to the knees and kill the ball. He really keeps it in that kind of that pie-shaped angle out in front of him. That's why on a lot of these pitches you don't see a lot of advancement by the runners.
And not only the drop, George, how well he squares himself to the ball.
Very good.
And Peralta will break from first.
Not where he wanted it. He wanted that ball. Nick Hundley did. Down and in under the bat of Goldschmidt. and got out over the plate away from him.
An overthrow again?
Yeah, a little bit maybe. I mean, trying to create a lot of sink. It's kind of like a putter. You see pitchers change the ball a lot. It's kind of like the feel of a putter in your hands. It doesn't feel right. The ball doesn't feel right in your hands. It feels big, may feel small. The seams are flat, not high. Change it out, get something comfortable.
Got him! Came back with an off-speed pitch. The breaking ball gets him out of the inning. But Arizona with two outs regains the lead. The Ford Escape, smart, safe, and fun to drive. Ford Escape, go further. And by Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. Right in the middle of summer, a celebration of all that is great about this country. Birthday number 239 for the United States of America. Fly the Stars and Stripes proudly. Rockies looking to rally back again. Trailed 2-0. Came back to tie it. Now they're down 2 again. David Hale sacrifice bunt his first time up as Patrick Corbin at 69 pitches now.
I got a feeling it's going to be his last inning. I think David Hale would like to try to see him work through this 5th inning with the lead and then hope the bullpen could hold it to get him a win on his first game back. Fastball velocity and last at 89.
And this is going to be a fair ball. Tomas gets over there. He'll limit Hale to a base hit. First hit of the year for David Hale. And
not only first hit of the year for David Hale, just his second in his career in 36 at-bats. Yeah, I'll fight this fastball off. Why not? Yeah, connect. The phone's ringing down in the Diamondback bullpen. It means more help maybe on the way for the Diamondbacks for Corbin if he doesn't get out of this inning as he works to the top of it. David Hale with that slashing single to right.
Hit number 7 for the Rockies tonight. Charlie Blackmon has 2 of those hits, an RBI double last time up, and then he scored. Single to begin the ball game. Randall Delgado appears to be the man warming up. Yep, that's him in the D-backs bullpen. Short lead for Hale, and Charlie couldn't hold up.
It's been a year or more, 2014, since David Hale had his last hit at the big league level, and it was against Colorado in Colorado. How you like that research? Thank you, Miss Sue String.
Yeah, the cracked staff.
The cracked staff in the truck got that one.
Long run for Owings. He'll still get the lead man, but Charlie beats Ahmed's relay.
Follow the Rockies with MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live Rockies baseball. The @bat is up to the minute with in-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, StatCast, and more. Get MLB.com @bat now.
One on, one out for the Rockies. Corbin will, I'm sure, keep a close eye on Blackmon. Charlie has a healthy lead, and good block by Saltalamacchia on the ball at the feet of LeMahieu.
Saltalamacchia on the year, 2 for 8. He has yet to have a fastball, or a pass ball, I should say. There has been 5 wild pitches while he's behind the plate. Albuquerque is on top of Las Vegas in Vegas, 7-2 in that ball game. It's top of the 6th inning.
2-0 on DJ.
Dustin Garneau hit his 11th.
He's having a nice year.
Very nice year.
He opened some more eyes in the organization with a very solid spring training, did Dustin. Got a lot of chance to play the back innings of those games in the spring.
Take advantage of the opportunity when it's given to you.
Hit and run, beautifully executed by DJ, as the runner Blackmon will hold at second because Owings was able to knock it down. DJ gets an infield hit.
Yeah, take him any way you can. That levels out the playing field after all those line drive base hits. Those hits that get caught. Yeah, you see Owings go to cover the bag with the right-handed hitter up. Your shortstop holds his position defensively. Yeah, placed perfectly, first and second. Troy Tulowitzki with a chance. 2 base stealers on the base pass for the Rockies. DJ with 10, Charlie with 22.
Troy doubled down the right field line in the first inning. Put Peralta on the warning track in left in the third. Tying runs aboard with 1 out here in the 5th. Look out. Troy is especially good this year with those clutch situations in less than 2 outs, as that graphic tells you, with the .400 batting average and all but 7 of his RBIs. One ball, 1 strike. Boy, Troy not happy, and again the sort of like the weather outside, the strike zone's been the shimmering heat coming up from the asphalt.
There you go.
A little bit one way, a little bit another. This is Lamb to Owings to first. Second double play turned behind Corbin. On the 4th of July, the Diamondbacks have the lead. we hope your 4th of July has been a good one, and we're very appreciative that you're spending part of it with us now. Wonderful pictures from Ryan Powell of our studio crew. And all the folks at Root Sports want to wish you a happy 4th of July. And for the rest of the weekend, please be safe. Don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Yasmani Tomas, who knocked in a run with a fielder's choice in the first inning and doubled his last time up, leads off against David Hale here in the 5th. Now the Rockies have gotten 2 very solid rookies this year on this trip. Billy Burns for Oakland and Tomas here. Charlie Blackmon will wait for it to come down and get the put out. And I was going to say that Tomas and Burns not only are the top 2 rookies in terms of producing hits, but they swing at more first pitches than anybody else. There's Jenny with Jerry Schemmel working on the radio side again. It was a lot of fun working with Jenny the past 2 nights, and Shem gets to work with her this evening.
Wave, Jenny. Wave. Wave. You're on TV. Seriously.
Shift on the infield against us.
But I'm sure she looked at the monitor, I would hope.
She's watching the game, George. Come on.
Well, I know.
Yeah. Jake Lamb, an RBI single and 2 tries tonight.
Yeah, she got a lot of great well wishes through from a lot of other broadcasters throughout baseball. Mark Grant yesterday sent her a nice message.
She did it. She was right on point. I thought she did a terrific job. It was a lot of fun working with her. We we covered the game. We talked about some fun things. We talked about baseball movies. We were dropping some quotes and got the generational difference. I'm talking about the natural and major league. She's talking about Sandlot. So there you go.
I understand fully. Or the rookie. That's going to be shown at Coors Field.
That's right.
On movie night.
Well, that's part of the conversation because when they actually filmed the scene of Dennis Quaid running in, the Indians were playing Texas that night, and they filmed it during the 7th inning stretch. So while we were there, watched Dennis run in from the bullpen in the roll. It was great.
Yeah, pretty neat.
Full count on Jake Lamb. And again, the shift works for the Rockies as Tulo makes a nice play. Well, the only thing that maybe we would have liked doing more than cover the Rockies here would have been to be at the Zach Brown Band concert at Coors Field last night. I guess it was a big success. You see the people working their way in. I saw some of the pictures during the concert and all that. It was very well received. That group's they're terrific performers. 2 outs here in the Arizona 5th. The best thing, there were no weather issues, so Mark Razum and that great Rockies grounds crew didn't have to worry about a concert taking care of things.
They were worried.
Oh, I know they were worried.
But maybe not afterwards when they kind of saw the grass pop back up again.
Well, with all the rain we've had, that could have been really tough. Now 3-0 on Saltalamacchia, who doubled last time up.
I think Patrick Corbin's night is probably over. Delgado's getting pretty hot down there in their bullpen. I believe that's who it was warming up a few seconds ago. The heavy sinker at 95-96, hard slider.
Full count now on Saltalamacchia. Longest name in baseball, longest surname in baseball, the The S and the A, they start under the armpits.
So is his the longest in the history of the game?
I think so.
I just threw it, since we brought the conversation up, I thought I'd throw it out there.
Well, Sue Strand probably find out for us. Strike three called. Good backdoor breaking ball. Good bounce back inning for David Hale. Rockies down 2. You buy GMC. Precision matters. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Buick. 5 expectation-shattering models. Experience the new Buick during the Buick Spring Sales event. 4-2, the D-backs with the lead as we move into the 6th inning. And before we tell you about the new pitcher, here's the tweet of the day. Jonathan Lucroy wins the 4th of July, not even close, with that chest protector and the sleeve on the right hand. I agree. He's flying it better than anybody today.
Randall Delgado, 33rd game for him to appear in. He came over in the trade with Martin Prado, and they thought he was going to be a starter in the beginning. And a couple of years ago, he and Archie Bradley battled it out in spring training. Bradley went to the minor leagues. Delgado won the starting spot, but has really excelled out of the bullpen.
And he'll throw hard. Touch mid-90s at times. Nolan has grounded out twice. Excuse me, George.
Excuse me, I was just going to say Corbin threw in the game. There's the hard sinker in on the hands of Nolan. We'll throw him out at first. Corbin was 75 pitches, 76. 56 of those for strikes. He gave up 8 hits in 5 innings, a couple of runs. They were both earned, and 3 strikeouts.
Time now for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag RMDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast. Brought to you by T-Mobile. Rockies have out-hit the Diamondbacks 8-5. But a couple of walks and an error in the first inning helped set up 2 of the 4 Arizona runs, and Patrick Corbin helped himself by getting 2 double plays to short-circuit rallies. 1-1 now on Wallin, who has been called out on strikes and has flied out to right. It'll be the battle of the De La Rosas, part 2 tomorrow to wrap up the series and the road trip. Jorge De La Rosa for the Rockies, Ruby De La Rosa for Arizona. Funny how you get teams who become trade partners. We'll see how it continues to play. Another jam job on the pitching on the hands of a right-handed batter. But you mentioned Delgado and Prado coming over here in a trade with the Braves. You also had the Justin Upton deal with Atlanta, but now you have different guys in charge at both spots.
There's no question. So many different guys in charge. Can they get along? Can they settle? John Hart now in charge. No longer. Boy, this ball's hit well. But Tomas will not have to climb the fence to retry. Drew Stubbs for the third out. They're at the top of the sixth.
On our nation's birthday, we are bringing you the national pastime. The Rockies and the Diamondbacks playing here at Chase Field. They'll open up the roof after the ball game and have a big fireworks display and a big crowd on hand here tonight. And a new pitcher for the Rockies in Rafael Betancourt.
Now the right-hander making his 27th appearance. 22 in the third innings, 22 strikeouts for Ralph.
He'll get the bottom third of the order, and looks like the Diamondbacks are going to get somebody else up, maybe Delgado, just for the one inning with the pitcher due to hit third.
Yeah, it appears to be Burgos, the big right-hander that pitched a little bit last night, or Daniel Hudson, one of the two. I'm going to find out in about 2 seconds.
It is Burgos.
Yep. A hard thrower, 95 and above with the fastball, hard slider. They'll probably throw him in the 7th, Hudson in the 8th, Ziegler in the 9th if they can keep it the way it is. David Hale worked 5 innings tonight, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned. And Rafael Betancourt comes into the game. 90-mile-an-hour fastball, strike one.
Chris Owings hit a looping single for a base hit last time up in the 4th and scored on the 2-out, 2-run double by Pollock. That's the difference in the game. Owings, drafted out of high school. He's out of the South Carolina area, Charleston, South Carolina. Two and one, you'd guess, because they're in the same age bracket that Owings and Jordan Lyles probably had to cross paths at some point in amateur baseball in South Carolina.
There's a lot going on right now in Charlotte as the Cuban team and the U.S. team have gone head to head the last 3 or 4 days as preparation for the 2 different divisions, the pro division in the Pan Am Games now that the Olympics were eliminated with baseball, and then the college level players have been playing the last couple of weeks. They're playing in Charlotte right now.
Right on the border of North and South Carolina.
Playing in Charlotte in the AAA ballpark of the Chicago White Sox.
That's a pretty park.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Brand new.
Full count now on Owings.
Yeah, and I think last year was the first year of operation that they opened that up in Charlotte. Their AA affiliate, Birmingham, got a new stadium a couple of years ago. They play the SEC or the ACC championship there.
Yep. Well, there's been some talk as baseball at least has some rumblings about potential expansion, that Charlotte is interested, Portland.
Charlotte has the Hornets there already. It's pretty much a big league city.
Yeah, Carolina Panthers too.
Yeah. Yep. Carolina Panthers in football. City mentioned, and it's kind of been put on the dark horse now, but the Bricktown Ballpark in Oklahoma City seats about 35,000 now, so it wouldn't take much to add on to that. The success of the Oklahoma City Thunder in that town, they really got behind that.
Another 3-2, and Owings draws a walk. Time for the Century Link to what's next, and as we said, De La Rosa.
Look at the
round 2.
Matchup of the numbers: 5-3, 6-3, 459, 460. It all happens tomorrow at 1:30.
Drew Goodman will be back with George tomorrow. Yours truly, Jack Corrigan, from 850 KOA, filling in for Drew tonight, as Jerry Schimmel did on Thursday night and Friday night.
Drew had a wonderful week. He went down and able to watch Jacob play in Albuquerque as he went by the ballpark last night, tweeted all of us. And he watched Eddie Butler spin a good one last night. Drew was at in Albuquerque with his son Jacob playing in a tournament.
Trevor Story got his first AAA home run in that game last night.
You can't replace the time with those children as they're growing up and having the opportunity to see them perform in an athletic event. That's so wonderful.
Well, and speaking of children, happy anniversary to my daughter Megan and
absolutely
my son-in-law John. Hard to believe it's been 6 years already. Runner goes, and this will be playable in foul ground for Brandon Barnes. First out, and ironies, if you will, or coincidence rather than irony. They got married, as they said, on the 4th of July, and the Rockies were playing the Diamondbacks.
How about that? That's crazy. And I know you went to the wedding.
I did go to the
I
wedding,
remember,
yes.
I think I saw the video or the pictures of your first dance with your beautiful daughter.
Yep. Now she's the mother of 2 great little boys, our grandsons, and couldn't be prouder of her and John, her husband. It's been a lot of fun.
They grow up, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Here's Aaron Hill pinch hitting for Delgado. Some people speculate that a contender might come after Aaron Hill, who can play really all 4 infield spots. Not first base all that much, but a guy with a little pop in his bat, and if the
I think
Diamondbacks wanted, they could maybe move him for a prospect or so.
And I think that's the appealing thing of Aaron Hill, is the fact he does have pop in the bat. He's hit over 30 home runs in a season in his career. A veteran guy that would not feel the pressure possibly of the years. There's a reason he's pinch hitting right now against Betancourt in his career. He's 3 for 8 with a home run.
And very good lifetime numbers against the Rockies. Close to 340. And Rafael Betancourt, who does not walk many people, so that in and of itself had him upset after walking Owings, and he's trying to make sure Owings, who's another good base runner, 9 out of 10 for the Diamondbacks. Better keep an eye on him. The Rockies want to keep the deficit at just 2.
And it's a 1-0 count on them, on Hill. Typically not a guy that goes to the right side of the infield. So, you know, okay, do we think about hit and run here? Do we think about movement? Flip the top of the lineup over? It's a 2-run ball game. All those thoughts enter both managers, pitcher coaches, pitchers, your catcher. And Ralphie not particularly quick to home plate. That time he slide step, misses on the outside corner at 90 miles an hour.
You talk about all that strategy, even though it ultimately did not pay off for the Rockies last night. Boy, the 9th and 10th innings were fun to watch, all the moves going from both sides.
Wasn't there? There's guys moving around on defense everywhere. 5-man infields.
2-1 now on Hill. Walt telling the media earlier today that he said certainly as a manager in the big leagues, he wasn't even sure if he could recall doing it as the high school coach at Regis Jesuit, that he's brought in an infielder into the game, much less, you know, bringing an outfielder and playing on the infield. He brought Daniel Descalso in, and it paid off. Wallin may have room. He does. Good pitch by Betancourt to get out number 2.
It'll be at Coors Field to cheer on the Rockies when the Atlanta Braves make their only 2015 appearance, playing Thursday, July the 9th through the 12th. Get tickets now by Rockies.com or call the 303-ROCKIES and get your opportunity to pick up those tickets for that series over the weekend with the Atlanta Braves. They're playing very good baseball right now. Hanging in, which nobody thought they would with all the massive trades they made. They would hang in the National League East. They're 5 back at this time.
And a guy who, I don't know if you could say resurrect his career, maybe finally got going like people thought. Cameron Maybin having a terrific year for Atlanta.
Got healthy, came back, swinging the bat well. He all came over in those trades with Atlanta that San Diego was a part of.
Don't know if we'll catch Julio Teheran or not. Good looking young pitcher for the Braves. I like watching him work. He's got a lot of stuff.
Quick, down in the zone.
Get to catch up with Jason Grilli, former Rocky, working
closer now.
Closer
fifth in the National League with I think 21 saves as he entered tonight's play.
We're talking, Jenny and I were talking about on the radio last night, George. You know, the Twins have had an excellent year, great start to Paul Molitor's managerial career, and a guy that we never talk about because we don't see the Twins that often. Glenn Perkins is leading all of baseball in saves.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Talk about a guy with just wear out the zone.
And A.J. Pollock continues his work against the Rockies. He gets his second hit of the night. He is 6 for 14 in the series with 3 RBIs. And Owings is at third with 2 outs for Peralta.
The one thing you don't hear when a ball's coming from the outfield is whether the third baseman yells cut or not. Charlie got rid of this in a hurry. Tulo cut it. And, that's too close to call. Would they have had a play? Would it have been on line? Tulo cut it, and then a snap look to first base. And a lot of times your third baseman may be yelling cut, so you could pick off that guy. Don't run the risk of the ball getting by the third baseman. So there's a lot that goes into that. If the throw was slightly offline and they didn't have a shot, it's just better to cut the ball than let the runner at first advance on a ball that might squirt away.
Peralta, a pair of walks. His only official at bat was a grounder that Tulo made a nice play on back in the third inning. Betancourt on in relief of David Hale with 2 outs here in the 6th. Betancourt worked an inning in the game on Thursday. Of course, the time of the DL with the vertigo-like symptoms after getting a sinus infection. And Nolan Arenado says he's got it, and he does. And the Diamondbacks strand them on the corners. We go to the 7th. It remains a 2-run Arizona lead. Wrapping up the 4th of July holiday, sitting around the campfire. So you get whatever device you need in order to pick up Root Sports and enjoy some baseball from Phoenix. Rockies are trailing by a pair as we move into the 7th. And another reliever into the game for Arizona. It's Enrique Burgos.
Yeah, hard thrower. 19th appearance. Had to spend some time on the disabled list. 18 innings, 29 strikeouts. And left-handers have handled him pretty well this year. Right-handers have had trouble, 175 average. Nick Hundley will get the first shot at him.
John Elway, the man in charge of football operations for the Broncos. And a very nice tweet from John, and a big baseball fan, too. Nick Hundley, a triple last time up. At 93 from Burgos. I mean, John Elway obviously made the right choice as a Hall of Fame quarterback and now running the Broncos. But wouldn't it be interesting to see what might have turned out had he pursued the baseball career? Because he was awfully good at that.
Yeah, he hit 300 in the New York Pit League. How about that one?
Do you want to do the Harry Doyle or should I?
Yeah.
Just a little bit outside.
That will wake you up.
I loved when he did ball 4, ball 8, ball 12.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope Mr. Euchre doing well and back in the booth again.
Did Nick hold up? Apparently not.
Didn't want to ask,
the home
though.
plate umpire. No appeal. He just said you did, and that makes the count a pitcher's count at 1 and 2.
I didn't notice this early in the ball game, but the umpires with the patriotic caps in the ball game, fielding Colbreth, first base umpire.
Yeah, I really like how those caps turned out. Count holds at 2-2 on Hundley, Brandon Barnes, and then a pinch hitter for the pitcher Betancourt.
It appears LaTroy Hawkins is warming up down in the Rockies bullpen. There he is.
Nick again going down the right side and just foul.
You're right, just foul by about 2 inches. Hard to keep the ball in fair territory when you do hit those line drives as a right-handed or left-handed hitter down the opposite foul lines. The ball has natural spin and curvature that it takes it into foul territory.
Looks like Ben Paulson will be the pinch hitter. Off the end of the bat. Owings got it. Boy, got a good jump. Who Wants Tacos? Fans follow at RootSports_RM on Twitter to receive alerts for the Rockies Taco Special when the Rockies score 7 or more runs. Two in the first for the Diamondbacks, 2 in the third for the Rockies, 2 more in the fourth for the D-backs. 1 out in the 7th for Brandon Barnes, who scored one of the Rockies' runs. Out in front of an off-speed pitch, and Owings has 2 straight putouts, the second baseman. And Ben Paulson will pinch hit. 2 for 6 as a pinch hitter, and a good year overall for the young man out of Clemson.
Having a very good year for the Rockies, and I think, last year coming off the bench in September, I thought he performed very well as a pinch hitter. The Rockies opened the season with a 5-man or 4-man bench, which hurt his chances, but earned the promotion back, and he's made the most of it. He has the 4th highest average among National League rookies at 285.
Shown the ability to come off the bench and perform, especially in the clutch.
I'll tell you, an awful lot of cutters, a lot of sliders in that 86 to 90 mile an hour range.
Yeah, drop both those pitches in a great spot for a pitcher, not so much for a hitter.
Asking for the ball on the ground, try to get him to chase. I lost that one.
Yeah, it should make it to the crowd of more than 42,000 tonight.
They played defensively on Ben Paulson, similar to what you see against Carlos Gonzalez with the second baseman in short right field.
And holds at 2 strikes. Ben has been very good at driving the ball to left center.
I think that's why defensively the outfield sets straight up pretty much. It's the infield, the ball on the ground. He'll pull it to the right side.
They got him on a foul tip. And Burgos has a 1-2-3-7. Rockies down 2. Happy 4th of July as we wrap up our nation's birthday. I love the purple in the backpack there. Lots of people flying the colors, including the players on the field with the stars and stripes as LaTroy Hawkins comes on for the 17th time this year.
Yeah, for LaTroy, it has not been the year that he anticipated when he announced his last year. meaning he's only worked 13 2/3 innings, and you're at the All-Star break. The injury to the elbow, it took time for it to heal. Now 100%. He's walked 4 or struck out 14, and has only walked 3 in those 13 2/3 innings. LaTroy will get Paul Goldschmidt to start things off here in the 7th.
Excuse me, George. And 4 Hawks since coming back from the DL. Pretty good. Just 1 earned run in 7 appearances. I think, as you said, feeling 100% again and getting movement back in his pitches.
Yeah, it's not any fun to go out when you're trying to go battle against major league hitters and you don't feel that 100%. Slider at 85, missed.
Goldschmidt 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. I think for LaTroy, and obviously what he and his family want to do in the years ahead, but he would be he'd be a great front office guy. He'd be great on his staff. He'd be a wonderful broadcaster.
Be outstanding. I think guys that have played as long as LaTroy, and this is by no means a knock on any baseball player, they have to have a tremendous passion for the game of baseball because they've made enough money that they don't have to work. And so I think they have to have the passion to want to help an organization, whether you said as a broadcaster, as a front office executive, as a pitching coach, a pitching advisor, a mentor to younger kids. You've got to have that in order to go do it. And he has a tremendous passion and a love for the game of baseball.
2-2. Well, in my normal regular radio duties, we do a show every Sunday, Rockies Q&A, where we'll visit with a single guest for a half-hour show, and we have Dave Stewart lined up for tomorrow's show. Full count now, and Dave Stewart, similar to LaTroy, Stu now the general manager here, the senior vice president, a guy who probably fit all the same descriptions that you just gave to LaTroy Hawkins. Yeah. That's Dave Stewart.
Absolutely it is. And you know, Dave, longtime agent at the major league level for a lot of players, Matt Kemp being one of them.
Can Nolan get him? Good scoop by Wallin, and they get Goldschmidt. Nice play at both ends.
A really nice focus and concentration by Rosario. Nolan makes these plays look so easy. The snap throw over, and Nolan's reaction, I liked it whenever his partner Rosario able to go out and pick this baseball and keep the foot on the ground and keep his balance there. Still think the error early on in the game was unjust to Nolan. That was a tough bounce and a hard hit ball.
Yasmani Tomas double in 3 tries. Going back to Dave Stewart for a moment again, George, you talked about his focus, the intensity he brought to the mound every time he pitched, and same that he's bringing to his job now. Just a little preview of the interview, we were talking about his no-hitter, which is 25 years ago now for Dave. He said he was so focused that night he doesn't remember much of the game.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, I tell you, I think he's the only pitcher to win 20 games 4 years in a row and not a Cy Young award.
Couple of postseason awards, including an MVP in the World Series. 2-1 to count on Tomas.
He brings a little bit of the Nolan Ryan attitude that was brought to the Texas Rangers when Nolan went there. The toughness that he wants to see on the field.
This is a mile high.
Is that going to hit a rafter?
That's about as close to a rafter as I've seen in this park. Drew Stubbs could have tied his shoes and then looked back up and still had time.
I hope this replay actually shows how high this goes. Let's look and see. I mean, you're trying to track this thing. You're trying to watch it. I mean, Stubbs, think about it. This ball's hit about 300 feet both ways, up and out. Where is it? Down at the Trop in Tampa, that when the ball hits, it's still in play, isn't it? When it's out in between the white lines?
Yeah, it depends on which catwalk it hits. Well, the Rockies will have interleague against the AL East next year, and they may end up at the Trop. Last time Tampa Bay came to Denver when the NL West played the AL East.
Yeah, hopefully the Yankees will come to Denver. The Red Sox have been there. Been a while, a few years since the Rockies visited Fenway.
And that'll go foul. 1-1 on Jake Lamb. When we talk about the East and really even just you can add not only the Eastern Division but the Central divisions in both leagues, the number of teams that play in the Eastern time zone.
Travel's very difficult on a lot of those teams.
And this one a little deeper, but again playable. Charlie Blackmon's got it, and LaTroy has a 1-2-3-7. Rockies down 2 as we head to the 8th. Southwest Airlines. Book your low fare now at southwest.com. And by Mike Shaw Subaru. Always our lowest price in sales and service guaranteed. Evening in Phoenix. Post-game fireworks will follow. And Daniel Hudson follows Enrique Burgos to the mound. For Hudson, his 31st appearance. 2 times he's had Tommy John surgery. And now, after being a starter, has settled in for the most part and done pretty well in their bullpen. Charlie Blackmon, a single and a double. Knocked in a run, scored a run when the Rockies got their 2 in the 3rd inning. They've had more hits tonight, but still not able to bunch them together enough to score the runs. Has been the issue of the second half of this trip. Blackman hits that one solidly, but right to A.J. Pollock. And for the Diamondbacks of late, and really for a while, their bullpen, which struggled mightily at the beginning of the year, has settled in. They pitched 4 scoreless innings last night. They've gone 2 1/3 so far tonight. DJ 2 hits and an RBI in 3 tries. Boy, just a giant gap in left center field. They do not expect DJ to go there. Hudson's pitch there evens the count at 1-1. We have seen LeMahieu drive some of his 10 doubles this year to that left center field alley.
LeMahieu looking for his first base hit against Daniel Hudson. 0 for 2, tied up with a fastball at 97. That's a newfound velocity. Hudson used to be 92, 93. Second Tommy John comes back, no longer in the rotation, goes to the bullpen, and the fastball jumped 5 miles an hour. Go figure.
Well, when you know you're only going to throw an inning, I guess you can let it go a little more.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of guys that let it go, but it doesn't go like that.
And it'll be a 3-hit night for DJ, fighting off that same hard fastball in. It'll get the potential tying run to the plate with 1 out here in the 8th. The Rockies rallied against the Diamondbacks for a big home win against Daniel Hudson, and it was Tulo who ignited the rally with a pinch hit home run in the 8th inning, and the Rockies would go on to beat the D-backs and win the series.
Tulowitzki in his career has owned Hudson to a tune of 375 average, 6 for 16 in the home run you just watched.
Troy, a double in 3 tries tonight, grounded sharply into a double play in the 5th. Came in among the league leaders in batting, and a 1 for 3 tonight has him right at 320 at the moment. Anything different about Hudson in terms of mechanics that you can see, George?
Yeah, just a little bit longer arm action, but that's about it. I mean, everything else that he does looks the same as he did as a starter. Make it a little bit more hip turn, get a little bigger load to the backside of his delivery.
Two and 0 now on Troy.
Yeah, you can tell, pitching carefully, very carefully to Troy Tulowitzki, keeping the ball away from him. Arenado's only seen 1 time in his career. He's 0 for 1. A lot more history between that guy and the guy on the hill.
Well, Tulo's double went the opposite way, right down the line. If they stay out there, Troy might just go that way. 3-0.
Really yanking that front arm, your lead arm going to the plate. If it gets going too much east-west, that's when you pull that thing out, pull yourself offline, you miss wide. That's exactly what he's done with Troy on 3 straight pitches. Good for Troy. Now square one up in the middle of the plate.
inside Wacom. He puts the tying runs on with one out here in the 8th. And conversation time for a bunch of folks, including Mike Harkey, the pitching coach. And we know one thing for certain here in the ballpark in downtown Phoenix. Lots of people have the flashlight app on their phone.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's going on. Doris is telling me right now.
I've seen it here before, and I'm trying to remember what the
half moon over
the significance is.
No, it'll be something very important. Local thing at the end of the game. Well, it's not the end of the game. It's the 8th. Doris, would you tell them to look at the scoreboard and let them know it's the 8th, please?
It's like the seagulls at AT&T. You got to know when to get there.
You got to know when to swoop in. It's all about encouragement of the pitcher. It's what it is. They're trying to send good thoughts, apparently.
Well, the Rockies hope that Nolan Arenado, who's gone hitless tonight and has been really held in check for much of the year, hitting right around 200, actually a little below 200 against the Diamondbacks, although he does have 3 homers and 8 RBIs against Arizona. And went too far on a fastball that might have been out of the strike zone. Oliver Perez has started to throw for the D-backs. It's like Logan and Canely in the Rockies pen. Nolan hits it to right field. That'll drop for a hit. They'll hold LeMahieu. The bases are loaded with 1 out.
Golden opportunity for Willeen Rosario, and he's 1 for 1 against Daniel Hudson. They've got Perez warming up in the bullpen for one reason, and one reason only. After you look at a very good at bat by Nolan Arenado, slicing that outside fastball to right field. Tomas got there in a hurry. They held LeMahieu up with 1 out to keep the bases full. With Stubbs in the on-deck circle, Jack, he's warming up. Perez is warming up, in my opinion, for Gonzalez.
Leans 0 for 3 tonight. Foul. Went soft after the fastballs. Not unusual for teams to do that to Willeen, knowing his aggressive nature, to throw a breaking ball, something off of the fastball early in the count. Rockies with 10 hits on the night, but just the 2 runs at the moment. And now Rosario down 2 strikes as again they go soft and had Willeen off balance, chased a pitch out of the zone.
Change up at 85 miles an hour, quite a difference. 12 off the fastball that's been at 97 in this inning. Now, Saltalamacchia is a catcher that likes to ride the fastball up. It may be something he tries to do here, get after it at 96, 97 for the high heater. We'll just see if Hudson agrees, if they want to go. They're going way away, whatever it is. And that fastball got a lot of the plate at 96. Willeen disappointed he couldn't handle it. Right at the top of the strike zone.
Rockies with 7 singles, 2 doubles, and a triple on the night. Looking for a big hit here with the bases full and only 1 out. 1 and 2 as they go soft again. Moline with good discipline. Jared Saltalamacchia, he's not the only one, but still kind of a rarity. He wears that helmet, the protective helmet under his mask with the bill of the helmet forward.
Yeah, a lot of times you don't see that, but I think it helps ride that upper part of the mask and keep his vision clear.
2-2.
Saltalamacchia wants to have a quick conversation really quick with Hudson. Ahmed comes in to make sure it's not about signs, but pitch selection to get Moline.
Owings came to the back of the mound, and Ahmed gave him the information of the discussion, or from the discussion. The 2-2. Over the mound. They'll get the play at second. Not in time at first, and a run scores. Now, fortunate for the Rockies, it got over the head of Hudson, and Moline, running as hard as he could, just beat the throw to first.
You can't ask for any more than that. And, this is the opportunity the Rockies wanted, first and third, to touch, then to snap to first. Moline able to get down the line, who runs very well for a catcher. Out of the reach of Hudson to step back and then to fire to first. You see Moline's got his head down, grinding the entire way, and really digging some real estate to beat that out. I thought they might go to Carlos Gonzalez here, but they stay Drew Stubbs.
So Stubbs, who has fouled out, struck out, and flied to deep right, trying to come through with the Rockies down a run, and hit a foul ball that dropped him.
Oh, that hurt.
Out comes Keith Duggar, the Rockies head trainer, and Walt Weiss.
Yeah, the one thing, if it gets you right on top of that foot, I tell you, I don't know anything about hitting it on the top of your foot. I missed with the sledgehammer, and it didn't feel good. And I know that didn't either.
Right by the left ankle, top of the foot. There's no padding there, no protection whatsoever.
You got to remember, 97-mile-an-hour fastball, and then you're swinging, and that pressure of the bat, the ball connecting at the same time and shooting it right down on the top of the foot. And Keith running him through those tests to make sure he can get up on the tiptoes and not feel any pressure there. So too important right now, the Rockies trailing by 1.
Yeah, and of course, again, you get a chop like Rosario had, and normally if he's feeling well, Drew Stubbs can fly. And I think that's what, among other things, they're making sure of, if he's going to stay in the game, his ability to run well, and he satisfies Keith Duggar, and he'll remain in the game. Game of final in Vegas for the Isotopes. The Rockies AAA club, Albuquerque, won 10-2 tonight.
Good win.
You know who's having a good year besides Matt McBride down there? Christian Adames.
Yeah, very good year, hitting over 300. Playing shortstop, now second base.
Stubbs down, 2 strikes.
Yeah, it's the hard part about it. You're driving with your back foot, but that pressure shifts as the weight comes forward onto that left foot that he fouled the ball off of.
Yeah, so the inside of that left leg, right where the foul ball hit.
Yeah, turn it into a handsy swing. Just a bloop to right gets the run.
They'll go to second and just got Owings to hang on to the bag and get Rosario to end the inning. The Rockies get one, trail by one here in the eighth. The Colorado Rockies, it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Colorado Rockies. D-backs with a 4-3 lead as we move into the bottom of the eighth inning. Rockies will bring on Tommy Kahnle, the third man out of the bullpen tonight. The second-year right-hander can bring it. Not always sure where it's going, but he can bring it.
20 strikeouts in those 15 and a third innings. Left-handers have given him a little bit of problems, but right-handers, total domination. 094, just one home run against right-handers. No home runs, but a 364 versus lefties. 15 and a third innings, 10 walks, but I mentioned the strikeouts. Kind of level things out here. He will start out with left-handed hitting Saltalamacchia, then it'll be Owens and Ahmed here in the bottom of the eighth inning, trying to maintain that one-run lead.
Here are the pitch totals so far for Kahnle. Did not pitch in game one, but worked well in last night's ball game. Saltalamacchia, a double around in between, I should say, a couple of strikeouts. Tommy Kahnle has this year, George, I thought, developed a little more confidence in his secondary pitches than we saw last year.
Well, and again, I think more than anything, this ball going to drop out in front of Stubbs, not hit at all, and flare out at the left. But for Saltalamacchia, a very welcome second hit of the night. He struggled in a Diamondback uniform. Well, I think it's when you find out you're here, you know, you've been in Double-A where the Rockies took him in a Rule 5 pick, and you're throwing 94 to 97 miles an hour. Yes, there was a lot of walks, but there was also a ton of strikeouts that you think you could throw the ball by anybody. And then you get up here and you realize, hey, I got to come up with something else. Now, he's always had a pretty good changeup, but I got to come up with something else to offset this fastball that the 8-hole hitter can turn around to 95 just like the 4-hole hitter can. I think he went out and worked on that. Get better with it.
Chris Owings scored one of the 2 runs in the 4th inning when the Diamondbacks got their 2 runs with 2 outs on the double by A.J. Pollock. Arizona used an error, 2 walks, a fielder's choice, and a bloop base hit to score 2 runs in the 1st inning. Rockies 2 in the 3rd and 1 in the 8th. In the bottom of the 8th here, and 1-1 now on Owings.
Yeah, the left-hander Boone Logan is still throwing down in the bullpen for the Rockies in case they needed here. Their bench is all right-handers with the exception of the switch hitter Pennington. Castillo, Hill's been used. Hernandez, the rookie catcher that was just activated.
And Owings puts a bunt down, grabbed by Hundley. They'll get it to Rosario, who got back to the bag, but the sacrifice puts an insurance run potential out there.
They give him a sacrifice, but when you replay this, that was not a sacrifice bunting technique. It was a bunt for a base hit's what it was. I mean, watch how he dropped the back leg very quickly. There wasn't any square around early, get myself up, none of that. I think he was trying to bunt for a base hit, but he gets the sacrifice.
2-3 on the sacrifice. Sotolamaki at a second. And now Ahmed, the shortstop. Fielder's choice, and came around to score on the double back in the 4th inning. Otherwise is grounded to short and fouled to the right fielder Brandon Barnes.
Are you currently a Rockies season ticket holder? Did you know that you could get $500 off of a private suite? That's right. Call today. 303 Rockies to check the availability of the suite you'd like to come to. Make sure you do that. Pretty good deal.
And a bunt by Ahmed's going to be a base hit. Well, they get Sotolamaki at a 3rd. Ahmed gets his first hit of the night. So the 2 guys at the bottom of the order putting bunts down.
Yeah, this one bunted in a much better position. Hard slider. Nolan playing behind the back. There's not a lot you can do defensively about this, but other than just eat the baseball.
Yeah, Tommy Kahnle, he has a very hard delivery, falls towards the first base side, so tough for him to get back to the left side of the diamond. And here's Cliff Pennington, who knocked in 2 of the 4 runs last night, pinch hitting for Daniel Hudson. Had a flared hit off of Kyle Kendrick down around the trademark that tied the game in the 6th inning last night. And he puts a bunt down. Rosario comes to, and
oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, Wallin did about everything wrong you could do. 2 runs are going to score, and the 3rd base goes Pennington. (6-3) Arizona just dinking and dunking the Rockies.
Yeah, that's the hardest part to swallow. The squeeze put on, and as the runner's running by Wallin, he's thinking, I got to do it. I mean, it's 3 straight bunts, folks. 3 in a row that the Diamondbacks have put down. One resulted in an out, a base hit. Pennington lays down the perfect bunt up the first base line. They don't have a play. You can see Nick Hundley pointing to first base. So as Rosario's running forward, he just spins and throws the baseball, but nobody was there. Infield will have to come in with just 1 out.
They rule it a sacrifice and an error, he'll get credit for an RBI, Pennington.
Give him 7 on the year.
3 the last 2 games.
Man, oh man. I correct that. 8 on the year now. That fastball outside corner at 95. Man, oh man. Late scores have hurt the Rockies in this series against the Diamondbacks. Game 1, they scored 8 runs in the last 3 at bats they had, 6th, 7th, and 8th inning. Last night to win in extras.
Willeen might have room. No. Still 2 strikes on Pollock. Yeah, they scored in the 6th and the 10th last night. In Willeen's defense, a little bit, as you pointed out, George, Nick Conley didn't think they had a play at the plate, so he pointed towards first. And so Willeen thought about going that way. The problem was he just made the decision to throw without seeing what was there. I'm trying to remember the last time, George, I've seen 3 consecutive bunts.
Well, it wasn't T-ball, but it was close. And what that tells me, at some point in time, the Diamondbacks feel like they could bunt on him.
Yep.
Meaning that they can bunt on Canely. It's also a compliment to Canely. They don't feel like they could put the ball in play by swinging the bat. Was forcing defensively to get off the mound and make a play.
And they get Pollock on the changeup or a breaking ball. He's the second out. And again, what's been frustrating for the Rockies, Saltamacchia's hit was a bloop to left, and then the 3 straight bunts plus the error, and all of a sudden the lead is 3. And with the left-handed hitting Peralta coming to the plate, Walt Weiss will go to the mound. Six-3 D-backs in the 8th. Will be It's a little bright in the booth when George wears those glasses. Boone Logan, fortunately, is not.
No, he is not. 33rd game for him to appear in. Just 22 and 2/3, a specialist, and that's where they bring him in here with a runner at third base, and Pollock at the plate. Left-handers just 114 on the year. He's handled them brilliantly.
Peralta got the 2-run triple on Thursday night against the left-hander Chris Russin. He's another one of those guys who gets real big eyes and a lot of excitement facing the Rockies. Good work for this guy. He has not gotten a hit tonight, but has been on base twice with walks and scored in the first inning after walking. One and one. Seven for his last 17 for Peralta against left-handed pitching.
A year ago, it was difficult for him. Peralta had a lot of trouble. I think I called it Pollock in the beginning. I apologize. Peralta, just one of those guys that the more confidence given to him by Chip Hill and the organizations, the better response they've had against left.
Well, they trade Trumbo and Ender Inciarte gets hurt. They didn't have many options, and he's going to have another hit off a left-hander. Home comes Pennington. 7-3 Diamondbacks. RBI number 36 for Peralta.
Well, one of the few times left-handers have come back to hurt Boone Logan. They do it here on a big slider that just stayed up a little bit in the zone. He flared it out into left field for a base hit. That will close the book on Tommy Kahnle. 2/3 of an innings, 3 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs. It may be time for Walt to get a little work done. John Axford was warming up down in the bullpen. Let's see if that's the one that gets the call. There you go. Tommy Kahnle unfortunately tagged with 3 earned runs here in 2/3 of an inning. Boone Logan will work to one hitter, and he'll give up the base hit.
And we'll get John Axford out of the bullpen. 7-3 Diamondbacks. Of the night, Carlos Gonzalez into the game, so Brandon Barnes moves from right field to left field. There's Cargo and right. Drew Stubbs out of the game, and in the 6th hole where Stubbs was batting, place pitcher John Axford.
Well, the big right-hander just activated today prior to the ball game, has dominated this year in the fashion he did when he was a closer for the Milwaukee Brewers. 22 1/3 innings. 21 strikeouts, his 25th game for him to appear in. Paul Goldschmidt will be the hitter. He is 1 for 5 in his career against John.
Now they have it back again. They had given the Diamondbacks 10 hits on the scoreboard, crediting, I guess, Pennington with a hit, but now it's back to 9. So perhaps just the sacrifice and the throwing errors back again for this one. Just for those of you who like to keep score and follow the box scores the next day, trying to make things match up. Goldschmidt getting a chance to extend his hitting streak here at Chase Field against the Rockies when Nolan Arenado threw him out with a fine play in the 7th. We didn't know if Goldschmidt would hit again.
They had hoped that he wouldn't hit again.
Yep.
That's not the way things fell here in the inning.
Rockies will have Hundley, Barnes, and Gonzalez hitting in the 9th. And John on that family emergency medical inactive list has been able to throw a little bit in his absence and since returning, but has not obviously worked for a while and had those 2 games where he had a high pitch count. 2 balls and a strike now on Paul Goldschmidt. Walked in the first inning, thrown out on a nice play and a little chopper in front of the plate by Nick Hundley. Struck out in the 4th against David Hale, and then Arenado with a very fine play going to his left at third base in the 7th. And this is right back to Axford. And it'll take care of the inning, but major damage done. Rockies one more shot, trailing by 4 here in Phoenix. Can be tough at any time, and especially with the way the guy on the mound has been going, the slingshot man, Brad Ziegler.
And he's done a great job this year for them, taking over the closer's role on May 21st, and he has gone 12 out of 14 saves last night, a rarely quick 1-2-3 inning. 35 innings, 19 strikeouts, but that's not his thing. Ground ball outs are his thing, and he does a very good job with that. The former Missouri State graduate.
And you can see there towards the bottom the number that's most impressive, a combined 175 opponent's batting average, and that tells you it's not just the right-handers having trouble with the submarine delivery. both sides of the plate. Nick Hundley with a triple tonight, but it came with 2 outs back in the 4th inning, and the Rockies couldn't get him home. And there's the almost underhand delivery in for a strike. One ball, 1 strike on Hundley, who was also flied to deep right and popped up to shallow right with the second baseman Owings running out to grab it. Backing up on this is Lamb. Long throw, but Goldschmidt's a Gold Glover, and he handled the bounce. One away.
I tell you, that's very sure hands. Lamb, a very strong arm at third. Look back over towards Goldschmidt. He goes, I got you covered. And he did. We're going to get behind this ball, try to get on top, overamped. It bounced on the grass, so gave a little truer hop than it would out of the dirt. Caught by Goldschmidt. Ziegler like, yeah, I like it.
He knows all about watching his infield get ground balls because that is his forte. Brandon Barnes singled and scored in the 3rd. Works quickly, does Ziegler, and now he's ahead in the count against Brandon Barnes. As George said, he doesn't strike out a whole bunch of people, but he just works quickly. For the most part, good command.
Yeah, yet to fool Brandon Barnes. 3 for 3 with a home run against Ziegler.
2-2. Less than 3 walks per 9 innings for Ziegler, and you might say, so what? Well, with that delivery, that's pretty good when you do that. And he's going to get Barnes for the first time in their personal matchups. Here's our Jimmy John's delivery of the game. And with the game tied at 2 and 2 outs in the 4th inning, A.J. Pollock somehow kept this ball fair right down the left side. It scored a pair of runs, and the Diamondbacks have led since. The Jimmy John's delivery of the game. Carlos Gonzalez now came on in a double switch, and Ahmed's got it, and the Rockies fall for the 3rd straight time here in the desert in this series as Arizona breaks it open in the bottom of the 8th, and they go on to the 7-3 win here tonight at Chase Field. And the 4th of July, not the way the Rockies wanted it, but we hope your celebration has been a good one. That'll do it for us here in Phoenix. Let's head back to the studio. Mark Stout and Jeff Houston.